never seen this bat before, all right, I'm gonna explain the use of it. Okay, so it's to teach you to not use your hands essentially, and just to throw your hips because your hands follow no matter what. All right, so I'm gonna line this up with my belly button because of the angle of the bat. So the goal of this, okay, is to not actually use your hands to swing, because if you use your hands to swing, that's going to be angled, you're going to top it, you're going to smack it down into the ground, shortstop, third base, going to look like shit, pop it up, slice it. All right, so again, the goal is nothing but hips, because if I rotate my hips and my hands don't move at all, okay, they're going to find that zone right there. All right, so slow motion, hips all the way through, my hands follow. Okay, I haven't moved my hands at all. I'm just rotating my hips and making sure that I stay tight inside that baseball right there. All right? Okay, if I don't turn my hips all the way, it's going to be angled. I'm going to shoot it backside. All right, if I rotate my hips all the way through, I'm smacking it right up the middle as I should right there. So this is that Aaron Judge drill. All right? He's got the same thing. So in slow motion, or in fast motion, okay, essentially it's going and right there. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to finish the swing with my hands. All right? So I was just doing this with a couple of my kids. All right? Hips rotate as fast, as powerful, and all the way through as far as you can, with keeping your hands back as far as you can, without hitting that baseball. All right, so it's right here. Okay. And then it's just going to teach you to stay behind the ball, because once my hips are through, all right, my hands are still back behind the ball, then I just finish my swing right there. All right, let's do it again. So yeah, I'm not using my hands at all until I'm at contact, and then I release and extend. All right? Another analogy would be, yeah, I actually got this from Tiger Woods. Your hips and your hands are in a race. The finish line is the ball. Your hips will always win, no matter what. But your goal in your head is to force your hands to at least try to catch up and to make it a competitive race. All right, if that makes sense. Okay, so again, my hips are always going to win, but I want to accelerate my hands through the zone, essentially, to try to make that race competitive. If that makes sense. All right, again, your hips will always win the race, but I still want to accelerate my hands through the zone. All right, I don't want to lag it. Okay? Talk about inside, outside the baseball, what you want your barrel to be doing, okay? And this, what this is imitating is that barrel staying in the strike zone, because if this wasn't angled, okay, that bat would continue to be back behind me that way, all right? And there's a reason, I'll tell you why, okay? So when I'm here, all right, and I keep my hands in right there, the barrel of my bat, even though it's so far behind me, is still in the strike zone, right there. So even if I'm a mile late on that fastball, I'm still gonna be able to foul it off because my bat is still in that lane of the strike zone. Okay, so I want to give myself as much opportunity as possible to make contact with the ball. Okay, so if your strike zone lane is right here, you know, this is your box, your imaginary 3D strike zone. Okay, if my barrel is only in the zone and I'm swinging down like this, and my barrel is only in the zone right here, that means I only have this much space to hit the ball, to make contact, okay? Very small percentage to hit the ball. But if I keep my hands in and I flatten my barrel and I keep my barrel through the zone, my barrel's in the zone right now. My barrel's still in the zone, 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 still in the zone. Now it's finally out of the zone right there. So I had ample opportunity to make contact with the ball right there, even if I was a mile late or I was a mile early. Okay, does that make sense? The original drill with that little crooked bat right there, all right, of letting your hips go first, keeping your hands back. My hips go, my hands are back. Now I've created tension in my core right here where my hands want to come forward through the zone. All right, does that make sense? Tension is like a rubber band. I pull it, it wants to come back. Same thing with my hips. I pull my hips open, I crank my hips open, my hands are still back here, all right? Now I'm creating tension in my body, power in my backside, and I want to explode forward with that finished swing. The reason why professional hitters can hold their swing because they're not leading with their hands. Okay, if I threw my hands forward as hard as I can, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop that momentum. All right, but if I keep my hands back and I just throw my hips forward, I didn't swing at all. All right, my hands were back, I just took the pitch. All right, and look where my hands go. They want to go into the zone and finish the swing right there. All right, so when I'm up to the plate, I create an imaginary line, about 45 degrees or so, from the center of the plate back to my toe. And that's my inside, outside the ball of where I want my hands to be. All right, so a drill, you can change the angle of this right here if you want, depending on the severity of your cast, okay? But essentially what I want to do is create that angle towards the ball, and I want to focus on keeping my hands inside that line right there, because now my hands are inside the ball, and I can hit the inside bottom half of the ball, just like Justin Tucker would if he's trying to boot a 65-yard field goal. Where would you kick that ball? Bottom, left center, essentially. If you tend to find yourself rolling over or just hitting ground balls, you could be casting, essentially, meaning my hands come outside of that 45-degree line. So instead of being able to hit inside the ball behind it and get some loft on it, all right, you could just be doing this just slightly outside the line. So when you're swinging, this is exaggerated, but you're coming over top of it and you're hitting the top side of the ball, creating that top spin. All right, so that's why it's so important to get your hips going and keep your hands back, because they're inside the ball no matter what right there. All right, if I lead with my hands, I'm more than likely going to cast. And they call it casting because it's like you're casting a fishing reel right there. Okay, so as soon as I come outside of my body, let's say my knuckle from my shoulder is like 10 inches, I kind of want to maintain that or even get closer to my body until I release right there. If that 10 inches becomes 12 inches, now I'm going to get long and cast and either pop up or roll over on that sumbitch because you try to make a correction.